You're listening to the Adventure Sports Podcast. We talk with adventurers from around the globe to bring you the inspiration and motivation you need to get started in the outdoors or to keep you moving if you're already there. Now here's your host, Kurt Linville.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday. Today's show is amazing. The guest is Ian Mackay, and I call him Ian Mackay. His name is spelled M-A-C-K-A-Y, but it is Mackay, not Mackay. My bad, sorry Ian. But Ian really helps us to understand the healing power of connecting with nature, the incredible importance of community, and how to live a life, a fulfilling, powerful life by overcoming adversity. Ian is one of those truly beautiful human beings who stands out as an example to the rest of us about how to live a powerfully good life no matter what. Ian, thank you so much for sharing with us, and also thank you for the invitation to be a part of what you have going on. So awesome. Everybody listen in. This is going to be remarkable. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Adventure Sports Podcast. Today, I have Ian Mackay with us, and Ian was paralyzed from the neck down as a young man. He has been leading the charge to help people get back out into the outdoors, even with the disabilities that they can be facing. And Ian is facing some challenging ones, and he's here to recount his story. He has a book that was co-written with Karen Polinsky, and the name of the book is Ian's Ride, A Long-Distance Journey to Joy. This is going to be a great episode. Ian, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks, Curtis. Really glad to be here.
So, Ian, where are you first of all right now? Where are we talking from?
Yeah, so I'm in Port Angeles, Washington. So that's up on the Olympic Peninsula, pretty much as far northwest as you can get in the continental U.S.
I did drive through there once. A ferry dropped me off from Victoria. Yeah, so I went through your town one time years ago. That's a very special place on Earth.
It is. It's a really cool spot. And what's really wonderful about it is, the Olympic Mountains provide this great rain shadow, so that the total rainfall is similar to Santa Barbara, California here in Washington. And so we're really lucky to have some very dry days, but still get the beauty of Washington.
Well, and the Olympic Peninsula is known for being one of the wettest places in the United States, and you're saying you actually have good weather anyway.
We do, right? So you got out in Forks, you got the way west end, Forks from the Twilight
right.
Name. But that's super wet. I mean, they measure it by feet rather than by inches. But here, just on the east side of those Olympic Mountains, we got this nice little rain shadow, and it's we're fortunate to have it.
Man, I got to say, because I'm not going to post video, Ian. I'm just doing audio right now, so our listeners can't see your beautiful dreadlocks. Man, they are awesome.
Yeah, 22 years I've had them now. I think they're 6 feet and 4 inches long. I gotta tuck them under my butt, or I end up running them over in the chair.
Dude,
it's a silly problem to have, but hey, it keeps me warm up here in the cooler winters.
Well, they look so good. I just think it's really, really fun. So tell us your story. I already alluded to it in the intro a little bit.
I was 26, Curtis. I was 26 when it happened. I was going to college at UC Santa Cruz, and kind of my background, I was studying a lot of biology. My goal was to kind of maybe teach at the community college level, and take people out maybe on field biology trips, and teach them about nature and natural history and just all the wonders of the outdoors. It was a place that really lit me up, and I love to be in that space, and wanted to take others out there too. Anyway, I was going to college at UC Santa Cruz, and it was June 4th in 2008, and I was riding my bike home from school. UC Santa Cruz is up on this hill, and there's this awesome bike path that comes down right into the town of Santa Cruz, and as you're going down this hill, this bike path, you're looking out into the Monterey Bay, which is just beautiful. But every day I go down this hill, and you try to go like a little bit faster, each day. And so that day I was going, I think, 38 miles per hour. I hit some sand in the path, went headfirst into a tree,
Oh,
and and broke my neck. I don't remember really losing consciousness. I remember looking up through the boughs of the tree, and and realizing I couldn't move, and I couldn't anything below my shoulders, and I couldn't feel really anything below my shoulders. And so there was a girl walking up the path, and I said, "Hey, can you call an ambulance?" And so she got some help. They arrived, and then they took me to Santa Clara Valley Medical Center by life flight, and I spent the next kind of 3 months there learning how to live as a paralyzed man.
mm,
They it's interesting what they do, because what happens often with a spinal cord injury is the initial impact. It's at one level, and your ability is determined by that level, but the swelling often can make it keep going up. Right, and
oh boy.
so what was happening for me was this around the C2, C3 vertebrae, is where kind of the crack where the broken vertebrae was, and so I get there, and they say, "Okay, can you feel this?" And they're taking a safety pin, and they're actually poking me in the chest, and they're starting kind of down on my belly button and poking, keep going up and up, and when I say yes, then they take a Sharpie and they make a line right there on my chest, and and I wait another hour, they come in and they do it again, and they keep doing this, and that line just keeps moving up. And so
Oh
that
boy.
means they really have to get in there and do surgery and stabilize things. And so they did. It turned out the swelling brought it up to where I was requiring a ventilator. For the first year of my injury, I was on a ventilator, and yeah, Curtis, I mean, you're sitting there, you're 26 years old, you're in college, you're thinking about all these plans, all this future that you imagine and you picture yourself. And then you're thinking, well, how the hell am I going to do any of that if I can't move or feel, or what can I do if I'm paralyzed from the neck down? And there's all these realizations that are coming in, but you're also just trying to figure out this new body and this new life and navigating this hospital, these nurses, these therapists. I was very fortunate to have both of my parents kind of drop everything and be there for me, and and kind of guide me through this devastating time. Who knew what the future would hold? Anyway, I could no longer live with my roommates at college, as a vent-dependent high quad, and so my parents were just moving up to Port Angeles, Washington. So I went there with them, and so I've been living here since 2008, and yeah, those first few years they were just depressing. I mean, I'd left this really
I'm sure.
active life where I was riding my bike all the time, and I was going out into the woods. I was mushroom hunting, or I was just doing new projects for school out in the woods, and I don't know, it's just where I kind of found my joy and my solace, and I felt like that had been really taken from me. Instead, I was sitting in front of the television watching a lot of Andy Griffith Show and I Love Lucy. They're great television, but it's not a life. And so I think what finally, first, I mean, I'm super fortunate to have this great friends and family and this community around me, and those friends just kept coming up from college and flying up to Port Angeles, and they would trying to lift me up, and eventually I got like a bird feeder that we were able to stick on the window, and starting to be able to see the birds and learning the birds of this new area, and it started getting me a little more interested. Maybe I could have somewhat of a life outdoors, and after about a year after I was injured, I was able to get off that ventilator, which was a really big thing, and eventually I started kind of going outside a little bit with, at least with a caregiver, with a family member, and getting to explore. I live only a third of a mile from the Olympic Discovery Trail, and it's a trail that is part of the Great American Rail Trail that connects, the Pacific Ocean with Washington, D.C. And so I started to go out there a little bit, but I couldn't really explore because I was kind of always stuck with a caregiver or a family member. I didn't have much independence, and eventually I met another high quad. His name was Todd, or is Todd Stubblefelt. He's affectionately known as the Quad Father, and he was all of a sudden like living this really independent life. He was living on Bainbridge Island and taking a ferry to Seattle every day and working in the tech space. And he was doing it all on his own, and he was happy, and he had a home, he had a relationship. And all of a sudden, I'm like, well, what the hell am I doing? Just sitting around here and kind of wallowing. And he was really living, and he was really, really interested at that time about getting a phone, getting some way to use mobile technology, hands-free, because it just wasn't really available at that time. And so we found out, it was probably 2011 or so, 2010, that iOS 7, Apple's iOS 7 had just released this new feature called Switch Control, which allowed you to kind of interact with the phone hands-free with just some switches. And it turns out that I could kind of use this, and I could start going out, and using a phone reliably and doing these kind of longer rides on this trail alone, and be able just to call for help when I had trouble breathing. I did regain the ability to breathe, but I didn't regain the ability to cough. I've been rambling on here, Curtis. I've been rambling on.
You're doing great.
Ram me in.
I'm loving this progression. I mean, just let me recap a little bit.
Yeah.
You're getting your life back in small steps, but in ways that must have felt huge to you.
It was. I mean, yeah, and just being out there and starting to see the plants of the Pacific Northwest and how they were different than the Central California fauna and flora, right? And I mean, it was cool. I was starting to kind of experience the things that I had loved before my injury, and I kind of thought that were lost. But once I had this phone and I was able to kind of start pushing my limits, I was able to see how far this wheelchair battery would let me go. And so then I'm doing 15, 20, 30 miles a day out on this trail, and soon I'm putting 5,000 miles a year on this trail. And I decided that one thing I really kind of gotten involved in right before my injury was bike touring. One of my professors really loved riding his bike kind of across states, and I got to be the road crew. I drove a Volkswagen Westfalia and camper van, and I would kind of deliver the beer to the campsites every day, and we get to talk. But I never got to kind of be on the road with them on a bike, and so it was something I really wanted to do. And I said, well, hey, maybe I can kind of relive that experience and just do it in my chair. And so I called up this professor that kind of introduced me to bike touring. I said, hey, I want to do a bike tour. It's a wheelchair tour, and I'm going to design it. We're going to leave from Port Ennis. We're going to take that ferry up to Victoria.
There you go.
That you did. And then take another ferry over to Anacortes on the mainland, and then make it all the way down to Portland. And we did that in 2016. And it was 10 days. The beauty of my design of that ride was that at the end of each day, our route finished at a brewery, where we got to, kick back and kind of talk about the day. But so many other wheelchair users kind of were joining me, and, they were fascinated with what I was doing, and they kind of wanted to be part of it. And then, media got involved. And what I'm doing, I'm just out there riding, my chair with my friends and, drinking beer at the end of the day. And it's become this bigger thing where, we're kind of demonstrating what's possible, and we're become more of advocates, and we're talking, to mayors all of a sudden along the way. We met them at a brewery, the mayor of Tukwila, and then, various people in the state Congress. At the end of the ride, I was invited down to Olympia, to the Capitol. I got to meet our governor and talk to him about the importance of developing trails that are that connect communities and allow people to enjoy some outdoor recreation, generally on bikes. But hey, I can use that same infrastructure to have a lot of fun in a chair. But since then, I've done a lot of great things. I've ridden across Washington, north to south, and then east to west. I've done Northern California. I rode from Washington, D.C. to Columbus, Ohio in 2022.
Oh, wow.
In 24, I did Missouri on the Katy Trail. I even got a Guinness World Record in 2022 for the furthest distance traveled in 24 hours in a mouth-controlled power wheelchair. And I did 184 miles in 24 hours. And
wow, that's pretty good range.
It was absolutely miserable, but yes, it was it was impressive. Showing what was possible. It was a lot of fun.
I love the way you're opening doors for people who probably didn't know that it was possible, but you're showing that it is.
Well, yeah, and I think we're often so only limited by our imagination, and if you kind of develop a great community around you, and you put the effort, and energy, and time into I don't know, completing a goal, then go after it. Go do it. Why not? Go live, and don't let something like a simple spinal cord injury, being paralyzed from the neck down, slow you down. Life is short.
Well, what did it feel like? Recall for us the first day that you went outside and you were actually out in nature and you're seeing the beautiful, the beautiful vegetation and stuff that you have on the Olympic Peninsula. It's like, whoa, what was that like?
Yeah, well, I mean, to be completely honest, the first couple of times just going out in the yard, it was bumpy. It wasn't comfortable. It didn't really feel that great, and I didn't understand how I was going to be able to be out there. But when I finally first went out, kind of on the trail in a smooth section where I was able to kind of be immersed in nature and in the outdoors, and it was along a river. It was the Morse Creek Trail is what it was called, and anyway, you're going through there, and there's these mossy trails, and there's ferns, and there's just these squirrels running back and forth. You have deer all over the place, and I'm just sitting there, and I was able to hear the water kind of flowing by, and I don't know, it brought me back, and it made me realize that I don't know, that world, that experience wasn't lost to me. It was just, I needed to kind of go at it in a different way. And I needed to experience it in a slightly different way, but it was still there. And it has been hard in some ways, and studying, when I was doing plant biology and such, you're out there and you're feeling things. You're feeling the textures of plants. You're smelling. You're crushing a leaf. And so those things aren't quite as available unless I'm going to be instructing someone how to do them for me. And but I think again, you just have to change the way you look at it and how you interact with the world.
Well, good on you for doing it. I'm so glad that you started getting out and connecting with nature, and then you started doing these extended rides and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's exciting enough, but you're also kind of leading the charge by example. You're showing other people what can be done.
Yeah. And so, after that big 2016 ride, we started a nonprofit, Ian's Ride. We've done some really cool stuff. You can check it out at iansride.com. But we now offer, 6-7 rides a year, for the community. And we've brought them with full support. And so we have people, able-bodied folks on bikes out there ready to push chairs if, we run out of battery or we just run out of energy. And we have shuttles and ramp vans ready to pick wheelchairs up, wherever they may need that support. And our flagship one is called Sea to Sound. And it's a 3-day adventure along the entire length of the Olympic Discovery Trail, about 75 miles. And we do about 25 miles a day. And, it's really special to kind of, well, I always say I do it kind of selfishly because I'm always out there alone. Otherwise, it's nice to bring my community out. But I don't know, to see people kind of light up and realize what they can do and that they can still experience these things. And, and it's events like these that when they're fully supported, they're eager to push their limits and see what happens. If they run out of battery, they run out of battery. Get you to a car, at least know what you can do. And without that support, often you can't, say, okay, I don't want to run out of battery, and I might only go a third of what I can do just because I'm nervous. I don't want to be stuck out there. That's totally understandable. But yeah, it's a really cool thing. We do aid stations every 5 miles, and at those points, we do have like bailout points for chair users. We bring a bunch of the community on bikes out there because I think it's just important to involve the general community with the disabled folks, and I don't know, kind of normalizes it all, and it's really helpful to have them either help push a chair up a hill or to pick up a cell phone when it drops on the ground, just to help out. And I don't know, it makes me feel good, right? I think we all want to feel needed, and it's nice when we can't help and allow someone to have an experience that'll be memorable and life changing in some ways. A really neat thing we do is I invite dignitaries, is what I call them, out to spend 5 miles in a power wheelchair, just to kind of have that experience. And so I've had congressmen from Washington State, all the mayors and the county commissioners. We also this past year had the COO of Invacare. We flew out from Ohio, and Invacare is one of the main manufacturers of power wheelchairs, and for them to kind of see how their product is allowing people to kind of live a full, adventurous life, and how they need to be able to provide equipment so people can enjoy this and not be limited by their equipment. I think that's been powerful, and to have a little bit of influence in the in the world of manufacturing power wheelchairs and ensuring that they are making wheelchairs for lifestyles and not insurance companies, and that they're just being thoughtful about how their equipment is what can be a limit to our ability to adventure.
Well, that was one of the questions I was going to ask, is do you need a specialized chair to do these trail rides?
Yeah, I mean, mine is standard. Insurance will cover it right out of the hospital. There's not. I mean, the one thing I've done is develop a battery that allows me to. A standard battery out of the hospital is probably get you about 12 miles, and I can probably get 90
nice.
miles with a big lithium battery. And and luckily, talking to these companies, this in the next iteration of chairs, they are going to be offering these lithium batteries. They're going to aluminum frames rather than steel frames to kind of offer more range. So the weight decreases, and it is great that they're now considering these things and kind of designing equipment that enables us rather than.
What about the suspension on the chair? Do they have to do something to make it a little bit better in the bumps?
Yeah. Well, I think some things you just got to suck it up, Curtis. No, I mean, I've only seen so decent. So I've never seen the great suspension on the power wheelchairs, but it's good for the body when you can't go out running around. It's good to be bounced around out there on the dirt trails.
I met a man at Outdoor Retailer, actually, and he was on a chair. I'll try to describe it. Maybe you can tell us what it is or
Sure.
more about it. But it sat taller, and so when I was walking, we were talking face to face because the chair was tall, and it had some sort of a gyroscope that kept it upright. And I was asking him about it, and he said he really liked it because it gave him a little bit more versatility, and it could also go up and down steps. And I asked him about that, and he goes, "Oh, it'll do it, but I'm terrified because I do not like that part." So I don't know what that was.
So what is that called? It's called the iBot. Is what it's called. I think I have one of the first iterations, but they're kind of neat. The stair climbing chairs. I'm with the guy though. I'm not sure. Gravity's had its work on me once enough, and I'm not sure I need to mess with that anymore. But the Elevate thing you're talking about just being kind of eye level. Most all chairs now have that, and that's a handy thing just for dignity and other things. Just sitting at a bar, right? I mean, it's nice to be able to elevate up so that you're at the normal height. And there's so many other instances where it's just nice to be able to change your height. I love to go out and pick cherries on my tree and be able to elevate right up to their level and
nice.
My mouth.
Well, how high can you get?
Yeah, so I can get not quite to 6 foot, but I can get 5'10" or so.
Right on. That's awesome. So Ian, wouldn't want
to drive much at that height. I can't get up there.
Nice. When you first started going on your solo trail rides, how scary was it?
Yeah, right. And so you're kind of relying on this device. You're relying on this piece of equipment, this technology, and you're putting a lot of faith in it. So it was really scary. Fortunately, I mentioned that friend, the quad father, Todd. He after we found this new feature on iPhones that allowed us to use switch control, we made a video kind of showing what it allowed us to do and how it opened up the world to us. And we kind of shared that with the world. Apple actually saw that, and Apple invited us down and to Cupertino, where we kind of got to consult with them and really discuss what was working great and what wasn't working so great. And that kind of developed this relationship. And I've been consulting, well, the nonprofit has been consulting with Apple for 10 years now.
Nice.
And so being able to have the ear to the company that's kind of providing you this independence has been pretty crucial for me. Because if I do have any problems that come up, and they're consistent, I can quickly, I can just reach out to them and say, okay, guys, we got to take care of this. And, this is, a danger for me. And, they're very receptive, and they, it's been a really cool relationship. And so, it's been nerve wracking in the beginning, I think, getting out, but I think having the ear to that company has been really, really important. And, it's been able to kind of fine tune and, improve that experience for me, but everyone else that uses that same technology so that they can have that same independence. And, but I think, I mentioned I got off that ventilator after that first year, and I did, regain the ability to breathe, but I can't cough. So, right. And so if I kind of get some congestion going, I'm in trouble. And so then I have to call for help. And we have a machine called a cough assist. It just pumps one. I have a trach, I have a whole tube through my neck, and I sleep on a ventilator, but I just use that machine to kind of replicate a cough, and then I'm able to kind of cough up whatever's bugging me, and then back I go. But no, I've been out there a lot, right? So 5,000 miles a year is kind of what I've averaged the last few years, and that requires 14 miles a day, and doing that at a northern latitude like this isn't easy. It's a lot of rain. And,
Ian, there are very few people with disabilities or otherwise able-bodied who get that mileage in on any sport in a year. That's impressive.
Well, and I'm a streaker too, so I go out every day, right? So about 6 months ago, I did have a stroke and kind of a big, massive seizure, and that put me in an ICU for 12 days. But before that stroke, I had 9 years and 9 months of not missing a day outside, getting
9 years and 9 months.
Yeah, getting at least a mile. Now, I haven't missed a day since I got back out, but yeah, it was a bummer not to make that 10-year mark.
Well, it's a bummer to have a stroke too, Ian.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I'll tell you guys, losing your body is difficult, and it's hard to recover from, but losing your brain, unfortunately, much of it's all kind of came back, but that's a whole nother ball of wax. I mean, I have a book out, that world record. I have a documentary kind of talking about that. I didn't know I had any of this. I didn't know me, right? When I was first coming out of this difficult thing to go through, but I think we all go through our challenges, and it's just kind of how we come out of them. And attitude, I think, is so.
Oh man, you said it right there. Attitude is so important. I don't in any way want to make what you've gone through seem small. No way. But I would like to point out that everybody has challenges in life. Maybe they're not as extreme as yours, but their attitude is what gets them past it, right? What can you tell us about that? What did you learn about how to have the right attitude?
I think, you get stuck on your back for so long, right? I mean, it was probably 6 months after that injury that I didn't do much of anything, and you start thinking, okay, either I wallow in this and really be angry with everyone around me, or I start thinking, okay, how do I have a life ahead, and what do I need to do that? I think one of the big thing is having a community, having people around you, and I've been in a position where I'm I need everything, right? I need someone to help itch my nose, or I need someone to feed me, or to wash my face, whatever. And in the beginning, it was difficult, right, having to ask for help. I think that we pride ourselves on our independence. We pride ourselves on what we do, and when all of a sudden that's been taken away from us, our identity is questioned. And
oh yeah,
I think at that point and again, this could be something severe like a spinal cord injury, but it also could be, a divorce, right, or a loss of someone in a family. I mean, all those things can really knock you back. But I think you have to say, all right, I have a future, and how do I make it real? What I'd always hoped for, and I think involving those around you, and just trying to stay positive, and and have others keep you accountable. Make sure you're stating your goals, and you're saying, all right, here's what I'm going to do, and don't let me slack off. Yeah, but I think I think we're stronger together, and so the more we can involve those around us, our loved ones, our friends, just our community, I think the more successful we'll be in general. Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of maybe dodged that question and moved on to the community aspect, but
well, that's part of it, right?
It is. I mean, that's at least what lifts me up, and that's what keeps my attitude positive. Is people are doing so much for me all the time. If I can give back at all, then awesome. It sure makes me feel good and makes me want to continue that positive attitude going forward.
I don't want to try to speak for anybody, but I have studied the stages of grief. And when you suffer a loss, you go through them all. You just have to be so patient with yourself, But for anyone that's in the midst of that, you do come out the other side, Yeah,
and I think, there's all these cliches, your eye on the prize or whatever. I mean, visualize what the heck you want your life to look like and try to make that happen. But I think sitting around whining, bitching, and complaining isn't going to get you anywhere. Or at least it sure didn't get me anywhere those first few years. And it was kind of meeting someone, right? It was meeting someone else that who was successful and who was living a really, really happy and good life. And despite the challenges that have been thrown his way, that made me realize that there was so much more I could be doing.
Right. That's so encouraging. Tell us more about the ride if people want to take part in that. So
Sea to Sound, it always happens. It's pretty much the last weekend in August, but it's always the weekend before Labor Day. Like I said, it's 3 days. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and for able-bodied folks, we really love for you to sign up and participate. I mean, go to iansride.com and sign up for our newsletter so that you can see when this is happening, and come join us. I mean, it's a pretty incredible community we have, both with the disabled folks and just the population of folks here on the Olympic Peninsula. They come and join us, and further. I mean, we have volunteers that are coming from Chicago, that are coming from Vegas, we have one from Florida. Each year we have a logo, because we have race medals or finisher medals and and all sorts of fun swag. But we have our logo designed by someone with a disability. Last year it was a mouth painter. Someone had designed our logo with art with their mouth, and
that's great.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't know. We just want to make it fun. Last year we had a silly new addition we brought called a wheelchair rodeo, where we had folks in chairs. We started out with silly, it was precision parking, right? And so it was like a race to see who could go down there, kind of park, and then get back. It was such a dumb thing, but everyone got really competitive with it. Like, okay, all right,
let's do this.
Exactly. And then we even had barrel racing. Barrel racing was one. That was fun. But yeah, I mean, I think the nature, seeing the natural beauty of the Olympic Peninsula is something, but it really is the people. The people that come out are something. And yeah, if you're looking to explore this beautiful area and do it with some fun people, and you don't mind riding at 6-7 miles per hour for a few days, yeah, we'd love to have you come join us.
That sounds awesome, actually. What a great thing to do. So do you call that a puffer tube that you used?
Yeah, great. So I drive with what's called a sip and puff. Sip and puff drive with my power wheelchair, and so it's basically just a straw, a tube that goes up to my lips, and how it works is if you puff into it kind of hard, it just kind of gets things, just the electronics engaged. If you puff a second time, you start moving forward. To turn left or right, it's actually a light puff or a light sip. So it's actually amount of air pressure into the straw that affects direction. Yeah, really, the best thing about it is I can itch my nose with that straw, which is really handy.
So I gotta ask the question with the rodeo bit, right? Yeah. Precision parking, and everyone's got to be laughing, hooting and hollering. So how do you control your chair if you're laughing and all that?
Very carefully. Yeah, you're trying to. Hey, trust me, there's a competitive moment there, right? There's no laughing at that point. And, no, yeah, you do your best, and Sip and Puff might not be the best for some of those events, but hey, it's fun to participate.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. I just love it that you're not letting this massive life challenge stop you from experiencing life in a big, big way.
Well, and I think all of us, all of us go through challenges, and we all, I think, come through. I've just done it in a public and visible way, I think, and I think we all have amazing stories to tell. They just, might be amazing in different ways. I just go out and go long distances in my chair, and I'm fortunate to be involved with a major tech company and being able to consult with them. And one of the biggest things I do is our nonprofit is kind of 3 tiers. It is that accessible outdoors aspect. It's also the technology, but the third is community, right? And I keep talking about it over and over. But I'm hosting 1 to 2 support groups a week, and we're talking with people all over the country. And I don't think I would be where I am today without getting to talk with others and being able to kind of share those resources and learn from shared experiences and challenges, and and ways to get past some of these things, or just knowing what equipment's available, because you only know what you know, and without talking with people that have tried these things out, there's no other way talking with them. So yeah, the support group stuff, and also then there's just the difficult aspects of it, right? I mean, saying, okay, how are relationships? So often people have to get divorced once they have a spinal cord injury or something, because they really need to get on state benefits, and the pooled assets of a married couple and that. And so,
that's rough.
They may stay together, but just having to get divorced just so that they can be qualified for benefits is frustrating. And and so many other things. I mean, how your dignity can be lost, and how you may not have the time alone that you once did. Your independence has been affected, and there's some mind stuff and some emotional stuff that can really kick your butt. And I'm about 18 years out now, and but man, talking to some of those folks brings me right back into that hospital and those vulnerabilities, and that loss of a future, not knowing what the heck that it's going to hold.
Sure. Let's talk about your book a little bit here. Karen Polinsky was your
my
writer.
She's it's not so much a ghost now. She's front and center. Yeah,
front and center.
She was awesome, Curtis. Yeah, but go ahead. What was the?
Well, I guess tell us what the book is about, so people will know if they're like, oh, I want to hear more about this. What is it?
For sure. So this book is much about the story I've told you, right? I mean, it tells about the journey from that bike accident to the world record, and all the vulnerabilities and rough times that were in between there. And there's so many great successes in my story, and they're wonderful, but you can't really appreciate those without having to really go through those difficult times first. So we really kind of dive into that, and just how something like a spinal cord injury can affect relationships in a family, right? And dynamics there when people are having to spend so much time maybe on your care and not focusing on other relationships in their life. Anyway, it talks about all of that, but I think it explores the importance of having people around you. I think the importance of being able to ask for help, and I think it really shows that nature is the best medicine. And,
I love it.
Yeah. So the whole story with Karen Polinsky was about 5 or 6 years ago. My grandmother really loved our story, and she is a hard driver, my grandma, and so she came over, and she said that she wanted to have a meeting with my mom and I. And my mom, when I was in the hospital, she started a Caring Bridge. It's just kind of like a little blog for people often in a hospital, and kind of told the story every day of kind of how things were going in the hospital. And so we had this written account of that, and so my grandma wanted to include that and everything I'd done since and put it into a book, and she had found a ghostwriter, and you can't say no to grandma. And so I did not know how much work it would be. And also, you have this complete stranger who you're having to really do this kind of deep dive into really intimate moments of your life. And yeah, it was challenging. It was quite an experience, but the hardest part was just kind of editing. She's a little more creative foo-foo. She's and I'm a little more analytical. Really want to be very very honest and straightforward with the story, and whatever, we met in the middle there to make a good story.
To make a nice narrative
and be honest.
I'm kind of enjoying this. There's some pictures in the middle.
Oh yeah.
And I'm looking at one of the pictures right now of you laying in the grass, and your dreadlocks are spread out like the rays of the sun around you. Dude, it kind of cracks me up. But
that was funny. That was on the 20th anniversary of having the dreads that I did that. Yeah, that was fun. I did that with my fiance and my mom. I guess that was another thing is, I had that stroke. And I was in the ICU right when I was supposed to be.
Oh,
we missed, wow. We had to delay our wedding because I was in the hospital.
Oh, dude, man, what advice do you have for people who just they need to be able to make something out of their lives, no matter what?
100%. Let's see. Well, first, I think it's important to find that thing that drives you, that you love, and hold on to it tight, chase it, and see how far it'll go. I think that's an important one. But I also think it's important not to do it alone, right? There's so many other people that also have ambitions, and meet up with them, connect with them, and we're stronger together. Do it with someone else. But then also, God, get outside, right? Nature is the best medicine, in my opinion. And there's something about it that can, rejuvenate us. And I find myself refreshed and, able to really contemplate what I want in life out there. I just, that's where everything refreshes for me.
Nice. That's, I'm seeing in the book here, and you already talked about it, but going at least a mile every day, and how many days you did that in a row. Years you did that. So the reason
9 years.
That's crazy. The reason I'm bringing it up is that I'm sure there are days that you just didn't want to.
Right? You got, again, northern latitudes. We have just snow. Having to have a caregiver or a family member really just shovel me out just to let me get to a van so that I can get out to maybe a plowed road and, actually get miles in. That's difficult. COVID, right? Going out when you're just so sick. You're so sick and you just feel miserable and you just want to sit inside and it just looks so cold out there. But you just got to go. And you always feel better, I think, when you come back. And
well, the question, I guess, is that you had committed to doing it and always doing it. That kept you from not doing it. I know that sounds overly simple, but it's real. What is it about the goal, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Why do we do these things? And and how? Hey, I think you set your mind to something, and then you have something like a streak going. You just don't want it to end, And it was probably like day 7 in the ICU before I realized that I even lost my streak, but no, I it's more about just setting your mind to something, and I think that it's just that mindset that that keeps you going. And once you start, that's the most important thing, is right. Start, and then just don't let it stop.
Keep doing it,
and build from that. See what else can.
I talked to a runner she was doing a great job, very successful runner. But one thing that she did is she had kind of like her go bag at the front door.
Okay.
Everything she needed was in one place. The shoes that, and it was like, I don't decide whether I'm going or not. I know I'm going. I'm just going. And I don't have the hassle of trying to find things and I guess I'll just have to do it later. It was just like, no, you don't decide whether the weather's good or not.
You're going out. Yeah,
you're going.
And then one of the hard things for me is so a high-level quadriplegic can't regulate their temperature, right? So I can't sweat or shiver, if I'm hot or if I'm cold. And so clothing is really important. In that morning when you're deciding what to wear and you're having to really layer up, but then recognizing maybe you have a long drive later that day or you have a talk inside. And,
wow.
And so you're like burning up, but whatever, you have to kind of deal with it because you can't go outside if you're not layering. So, So yeah, it is. I'm fortunate to have a sponsorship, kind of a relationship with Arc'teryx, and so
Nice.
Arc'teryx sends me a lot of good gear. That keeps me warm out there.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Have you ever gone through all the hassles of getting on the plane, security, luggage, long waits at the airport, all that kind of stuff? And then when you finally arrive at your destination, not only are you worn out, but you also might feel a little bit disconnected. I know that I do when I hopscotch around the planet on a plane. That's one of the reasons why I love the great American road trips, where you get to drive from one place to another and connect all of those dots. You get to experience the changes in the terrain and the weather and the people and the communities. This is one reason that I am excited to present to you our new sponsor, Outdoorsy. Outdoorsy offers a different way to travel. With Outdoorsy, you can rent an RV or a camper and turn the drive into part of the vacation on your schedule with your people and with way more flexibility. Listen, most trips focus on getting somewhere. Outdoorsy is about the part in between. With Outdoorsy, you can rent an RV or a camper and travel on your own terms. No TSA lines, no strict schedules, no rushing through airports. And for extra convenience, Outdoorsy even offers RV delivery and setup in many locations, so you can enjoy the experience without having to worry about the logistics. Outdoorsy connects travelers with trusted RV owners across the country, making it easy to find a rig that fits your style and budget, and I might add, that also fits with the people and the pets that you want to take with you. So when you're ready for a trip that actually feels like a break, head to Outdoorsy.com. Outdoorsy is currently running a special promotion for listeners. Use the promo code ASP at checkout to take advantage of this limited time offer. That's Outdoorsy.com, promo code ASP. You're an inspiration, obviously. I'm sure people tell you that all the time, but it's true, Ian.
Wow.
And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that there are people like you in this world who show the rest of us what's possible.
Yeah, I think so many of us who would be put in a situation would be amazed at what we could accomplish. And I'm just happen to be in this situation, but I get to meet so many other people that really impress me and inspire me. And, hey, that's what it's all about, right? Is pushing each other and seeing all what's possible.
Yeah. Hey, will you tell us a story? I know that you have a lot of stories from all of these rides that you did for years and years and years. Tell us a story, 2 stories. The first story would be something surprising that happened that impacted you in a big way, right? And then the second story is a time that something went really wrong and
impacted me.
impacted you in another way.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that 2022 ride. So I was taken from Washington D.C. up to Cumberland, Maryland. Is the C&O Trail. It's an old towpath, right? And so it was built by mules that would be pulling barges along the Potomac River. And here I am in a power wheelchair, on this dirt trail that was forged by mules,
right,
centuries ago. And what I didn't realize was there were sections of that trail where there was probably like a 20-mile either direction before there was a bailout point.
Okay, long way.
Being in a power wheelchair when anything can go wrong, and I'm 600 pounds, and I got my 2 guys with me as my crew, but pushing me out of something like that is, it'd take a day or 2. Anyway, I think I learned first, the reward I got from that was huge, but I still dream of that ride. It was the most beautiful ride ever, but the risk we were taking and was serious. But I think it showed the importance of taking risks. Right? That reward never would have happened if I wouldn't have been willing to go out there and do it. I mean, even you're taking that chance. Something could go wrong. Even a tree down. We're bringing saws out there with us just to get us through. But yeah, I think that was just a big one. I think recognizing that I could do a lot more than I thought I could, and kind of believe in yourself. I had to believe in my equipment as well there. But yeah, I think that was really important because it made me realize, go for it. Why not? See what happens. You'll be surprised at what's possible. And then we moved forward 2 years to my 2024 ride, and I was riding on the Katy Trail, and apparently they along this path they were there was a culvert, right? And so they had dug a hole in a trench along a trail, across the trail, and they put a pipe in it and they had backfilled it. But they hadn't backfilled it and compacted it down very well, and it had rained a lot the night before. And I was going full speed, and my friend actually that was with me, he had stopped right after it because he was ahead, and he was saying something. I just thought he was like, okay, you better go fast over this section so get stuck. And instead, I hit this, and I just flipped the chair and ended up on my side. And I think I learned from that is really listen to my people. But no, I flipped the chair a few times, and whenever I've done that, I think I've learned the importance of having quality equipment. I'm also an ambassador and consultant with Invacare, the chair that makes my chair, and being able to have some influence there on design and quality has been important. Yeah, I think having good equipment, listening to your people, and realizing what's really that we can do a lot more than we think.
I can't imagine hitting that ravine. What went through your head?
Oh man! Well, what was funny was luckily my guy was right there, standing right there, because he's like pointing at it as I'm driving up to it. Anyway, I went straight at it, and I would have went right onto my face, but he, right when I got to like that tipping point, just pushed me over, so I landed on my side.
Oh,
but no, there's
dang,
a picture where I'm just cracking up. I mean, I'm just laughing. There's plenty of downsides to not being able to move or feel below your neck, but there's some good sides to not being able to feel below your neck too. And I had probably 8 years earlier, I was riding home from downtown Port Angeles at a concert, and it was dark, and I was going down a hill, and my chair wouldn't tilt, and I ended up flipping it, and I was alone, and my phones kind of were up against the dirt and didn't have any reception. I couldn't call for help. And so I was sitting there for about an hour until a couple, a man and a woman, came along, and they were able to go back and get someone else, but to right me and to get me back up on my wheels. But and then I had them kind of straighten me out in my chair so I could drive home. And the woman said, "Oh, do you want me to straighten out your foot?" And I couldn't see my foot. I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And she did. And there is a way that I can feel, and it's called what it is, it's the blood pressure. Your blood pressure can kind of change. And so when you have really bad pain, you can get something called autonomic dysreflexia, and it's just this spike in blood pressure. And for me, that feels like this headache. And so she moved that foot, and I got kind of this headache. I'm like, something might be wrong. It turns out I did break my leg.
Oh no!
I spent a week before I went into the hospital. But what are they going to say? They just told me to stay off of it. It's like, well, yeah, that's not a problem.
Ian, you've got a great attitude about it. That's crazy. So, if people want to be a part of your Sea to Sound ride, or they want to be part of your nonprofit, they want to read your book, I mean, how do they get in touch?
All right, so, iansride.com. I mean, we always have whatever's going on next there. Again, our newsletter is a great thing. You can go to the bottom of that page and sign up. But another thing you could maybe join us, depending on where you are in the country, is, every 2 years I do these long rides, these cross-state rides. And this next one I'm going to be doing in 2026. It'll be in probably late September, early October, and it's going to be the Erie Canal Trail. And I'll be riding across New York from Albany to Buffalo. It's about 350 miles or so, and it should be a lot of fun. So, follow us, see what we're up to, and come join us out there on the Erie Canal Trail.
That's awesome. September. Do you know the song about the Erie Canal from Albany to Buffalo?
Oh, yes.
I'm not going to sing it, but...
No, come on, Curtis. No, we'll be singing that along the way.
That's fantastic. And so you said September?
Yeah, it'll probably be late September going into October. We'll probably spend a couple weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks out.
Fantastic. Right on. Well, Ian, thank you for sharing your story with us, and thank you for your time today. You know, like I said, you're an inspiration. But I love what you said 2 or 3 times here that, nature's the best medicine. I love it. I love the example, and I love the fact that you found a way to make that work for you.
No, hashtag get outside. I think that's where we all are better people.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Everyone out there, thank you for listening in today. And get Ian's book, participate, get involved. I just think it's fantastic. Ian's Right is the name of the book. And until the next show, do get out there and have some fun.
Thanks, Curtis.
Yeah, you bet, man.